So today we are going to look at these things. So we'll see what this case lifecycle is, how do you design it, then what is the user context, then how do we update some case statuses, how do we add instructions is what we'll be looking at. I mean, this is like a very basic, or you could say the first step after you create your application. Okay, so all the business transactions that we deal with, okay? Suppose when you take a recruitment based application, so what all transactions HR can be able to perform? So they'll be working on recruitment transactions, they'll be working on onboarding, they'll be working on employee resignations, employee engagement, a lot of different kinds of transactions, right? So business transaction, we call it as a case type. Okay, we call it a case type. So which represents what that transaction is all about, or how the transaction proceeds will be defined in a case lifecycle. Okay, and when I call something a case lifecycle or a business transaction, it needs to have a clear starting point and a definite end point. My business transactions cannot be, never ending. I cannot have that sort of transactions. I need to have clear cut definition of what is the starting point of my transaction and what is going to be the end point of my transaction. Right? Suppose to give you a simple example here, we place an order on Amazon. Okay? Now, once I receive my product, the case life cycle should end there. Right? It cannot go on and on until I order the next product. It will still continue in the same transaction? No. So, as per my transaction, once the customer receives the product, done. We are completing that case life cycle. Okay. Similarly, for recruitment, what we are looking at. So, once the candidate has accepted the offer, my recruitment transaction is done. Yeah, or if you still want to extend it, I will complete my recruitment transaction once the candidate joins the organization. Right, whatever your scenario might be, we need to be careful when are you resolving the transaction. Right? And also your starting point. What is the starting point? Is it like, are you collecting some information, or are you gathering information? What is the starting point and what is the ending point have to be clearly defined. Okay. And as we have discussed earlier, case type will remain one, whereas cases can be multiple. Okay. Now, once you define the case type or the case life cycle, it is just done once. Now, every candidate that is recruited have to go through the whole of this process. And I can have n number of candidates. Correct? Always a one-to-many relationship between the case types and the cases. Yes. So I think this is the user IDs and passwords we have created. That's fine. Now, for example, I'm going to take a simple place an order online transaction. So this is the transaction that I wanted to take. Now, if you need to design, or if someone asks you to design a transaction for this or define some life cycle for this, what is it that we generally start with? First, place the order. Okay. Or I'll put not placing an order, probably buying a product online. Okay. So my requirement is I need to buy some product online. Say package, process it or package it. Flipping, okay. And then
you receive it.
So on a broader sense, I can say these four are the phases that my buying a product online transaction will have. And for each of these phases, internally, there would be a lot of other steps that I should perform or other actions that I need to take. Placing an order is not a single action that I do, right? I need to search for a lot of things first. I need to look at the reviews, ratings, then I need to make a payment, then get the confirmation. So all these steps are involved internally. If them bundled together, I just call it place an order. But internally, there's a lot of stuff that I have to go through.
Processes.
When you take packaging, so packaging is also a single entity, right? There are a lot of other things involved in it. First, I need to check whether that is in stock or not. So if it is in the stock, I need to check what is the validity of the product. Is it in good shape? I need to check at the expiry dates and all of that. Okay. I from some other warehouse, I bring it to my courier facility. So I nicely pack it. All of that is involved in packaging. When it comes to shipping, again, it involves multiple steps again. Courier facility, it has to be shipped to the appropriate address, right? So some modes of transport has to be selected. I need to check whether the customer is a prime customer or not. If he's a prime customer, he would expect a faster delivery, right? So I should check for faster transport. Or that decision is taken there. Okay. And then appropriately, it is moved to that particular region, and it reaches the nearest courier facility according to that delivery address, right? And probably the last thing is for delivery, where the delivery guy comes in, he delivers the product, right? But with this not delivery, after that also we probably need to acknowledge, or if you are trying to buy some laptop or something, he would ask you to open it, right? And he'll make sure that all the components are correctly received, and then he will ask a e-signature, or probably a normal signature would be asked. So once that is done and receive your product, that is where your business transaction would end. Correct? And maybe a little feedback is also required. They would ask you to, share some feedback or give some rating, right?
Yeah.
So all of this is involved in a transaction. Now, these phases, if I have to create or if I have to deal with these in Pega, we call them as stages. So we call them what? Stages. The stages are something which are like a broader classification. So you tend to divide your transaction into phases. So those phases here, in technical term, we call them as stages. Now, with the stages, we know that a lot of stuff has to be carried out. So that is called a process. So within a stage, I can have some processes. Okay? And within a process, I can have something called as steps. Steps are like the least, or you can say the individual entities or tasks that we perform. They are called steps. So something like making a payment is a step, or tracking the order could be a step. So any business transaction you take, you can dissect into these sorts of entities: stages, steps, and processes. Okay. Now, this is for buying a product online. Good. Now, what about the recruitment transaction that we are doing? So probably I submit the details. So I submit my profile, my experience details, then the certifications, the work experience, the tech stack that I've worked in. So all those details would be submitted. Okay. Then after submission, you might have a written test, you might have some online exams inside that, within the interview, all of that. A technical round, then a managerial round, and then an HR round and all of that. Okay. Then after interview, let us do scenario. The candidate is selected. So probably I can say this to be a release offer stage. So release offer. And within release offer, I'll be sending him an email that that he's selected, and I will send him the offer letter. And I may also collect some feedback from the user regarding the interview experience. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is on a positive note if the candidate is selected. What if he's rejected after the second stage? Obviously, even only after interview we'll be able to reject, right? So what if
Yeah, they
he's
might
rejected?
send a feedback to the
Correct.
to
So we
the
will
sorry to the
have a
candidate.
separate.
Yeah,
Correct.
separate.
So
So it's a
we have a
else, I
separate
think.
stage for rejection. Correct.
Yeah. So there's a decision making there, isn't it? It's a if or
Yes,
else.
exactly. So there's a
Yeah.
rejection stage where we can handle these rejections. So here also you may need to send an email saying, the
Yes.
candidate
So give the
might
feedback
not
and
be
just yeah.
exactly. We might not be able to take you this time, or give 3 months or 2 months time for him. Then we want him to
Apply.
come. So something like
Yeah.
that. And probably a feedback also from this particular user also we wanted a feedback. Okay, good. Now the stages are finalized: submission, interview, release, offer, and rejection. Okay. Now when I start talking about the steps,
We might need their personal, in a sense, basic personal details and
correct,
their
which
resume
deals
and
with the contact details, right? So
yeah.
those details are required. Okay. Then any other
Then
details?
then it's about their job profile, their resume to upload. Uh,
Correct.
yeah, all those stuff.
Okay. Then anything else other than job details? Probably some experience details we might need.
Yeah, that's what that might be in the there might be a portal where you can enter all those details, isn't it?
Right.
What they
Correct.
ask in the application, you fill those, isn't it, when you do an online
Correct.
application. So they might
Right.
accordingly, it depends on the organization how they want it to be put.
Correct. Right. Okay. So then I would let it be like the personal details, experience details,
Yes,
or
resume and certifications
educational.
and
Correct.
yeah, education. All
All
those will
things.
come in a form, I think. It depends on the
Exactly.
organization how they collect information, I think. What
Exactly.
kind
Correct. Correct. Okay. Right. And okay, probably this is the information we might need. And currently, if you observe, we are also trying to collect some experience details of the candidate. Okay.
yeah.
But what the candidate is a fresher. He's just passed out of college. So in
Mm-hmm.
that case, we wouldn't have this experience details,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's
So
for
so
question. So
might be
what
the job and forms depend accordingly the decision is made. Like there might be different form for them for a fresher. So it
correct,
might pop up as a
right,
different one. Where you need
exactly,
not, you just need to put your education details and what you have done or
right,
certifications or courses.
correct. So we will be able to navigate or control the case flow accordingly. So because not
Yeah,
every
according to the
go through all
according to
these
the
things.
person.
Correct. Like for
According to
example,
the case, actually, isn't it?
exactly. So for example, when you take a passport application, okay, when a person is trying to issue a passport, there would be an ECR category, right? The immigration check required or non-ECR category.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, like when there is a certain criteria when you fall under the ECR category or when you fall under the non-ECR category. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So for every user, I cannot mandatorily say that no, you should go into the non-ECR category. No, I cannot say that. It depends upon each individual, right? Now,
Yeah.
I cannot create one case type for uh, issue passport for ECR, issue passport for non-ECR. That's not a good practice, right? So
Yeah.
your case type should be universal. So it should allow any kind of customer, but for each customer according to their requirements, according to their profile, you will control the case respectively. Okay. It's not like I should not be creating n number of case types for n number of scenarios. all scenarios to be added under one single case type. So that's the best
Yes.
way
Do you
of
mean it should be dynamic, the decision there? It's
exactly, yes. And within passport also, if you see, I can have different age groups, right? Passport for minors could be there, or passport for senior citizens could be there, for general could be there. Now I should not create 3 case types. Passport for minor, passport for senior citizen, passport for regular is not a good practice. So all should be embedded or should be handled on a single case type. So that's best practice or an effective way of creating case types.
yeah.
Okay, right. So, okay, yeah, we were talking about the steps and process. Okay, now in interview, what all steps do you think are involved?
Yeah, once they shortlist, so they will ask for the time, what suits both. So it
Correct,
might be a time
correct,
slot they might give it, you might have to choose, or they might ask for
correct.
your time.
Probably scheduling.
Yeah, scheduling. And
Okay, then maybe
and then
some
the
basic
date and time is
exam or
fixed.
something they do, some basic online scrutiny or some written test kind of thing.
Yeah, it might be a short telephonic interview or something like
Correct,
written
correct.
test, something
For
online.
a very very basic scrutiny could be there. Written test,
Yeah.
online interview, telephonic. Okay. Then
Then there might be further technical or face-to-face interviews or
correct,
something
which,
like
which
that.
could be like the main interview.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So let us put that as well. The main interview, or I'll name it approval of candidate. Or let me just put it to approval. Okay.
Yeah, then
Right.
accordingly, as per the decision, it will be either rejection or approval, and uh,
Exactly. Either it should go to the release offer or it can go to the a rejection stage, depending upon this decision that is made here. Yeah. Now in the release offer, what do we need to expect? What steps could be there here?
there might be offer made in the sense you make an offer, and there might be the candidate might accept or reject the offer. There might be
Correct.
some further discussions on that. So it
Okay.
might be first acceptance or it might be rejection.
Right. So let
So
me.
it might depend on the process if they want to make a future offer or they might want to give that offer to someone else. So
Correct.
it's like it depends on the
So first,
organization again.
right. So release offer, probably first notifying the candidate, okay, and probably getting in the feedback. Okay. So the
Yeah.
feedback, or it could be like if you wanted to add in the candidate's response also, yes, it's part of your recruitment. I mean,
Yeah, it's
that
like
we need to clearly know when you want to stop your transaction.
yeah.
Okay, so transaction is only until providing the offer, then my recruitment transaction or my recruitment case type is ready, or it is done with. If you are also looking at the candidate's response or the candidate onboarding, joining, all of that, then you have to go with other set of stages, right? Because candidate onboarding is not a simple step. It's not a simple process. Correct?
Yeah.
Onboarding involves different teams. There need to be a HR team to verify your documents. There need to be an admin to provide you the necessary access of that ODC or the different zones. Or you need an IT infra team to provide you with your laptops and rest of the infra required. So it's if you think the onboarding itself is a complicated transaction, we better define it as a separate case type.
Mhm.
Okay. Or if you are onboarding process is comparatively, it's it's not that
Simple.
complex, then I can have it as a separate stage. Okay, but it cannot be a simple step. It cannot be handled in one step, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's this decision lies with the stakeholders, the product owners, and the BAs as well, because they are the ones who look at the complexities. So if you feel that the onboarding process is a lot more complicated, it is involving a lot of transactions in it, better design them as a separate case.
Case type.
Right. Yeah, because developers wouldn't be doing this sort of stuff. So you will build the case type and you will hand it over to them. So from
Yeah.
it forward. So they will not decide what should be a step, what should be a process, or what should be a stage. They do not. I mean, they probably might not be aware of that. Right? But we should be clearly identifying, or we should be clearly looking at the complexities or the processes that are involved, and accordingly we need to make a choice that whether this should go in a stage, can this go in a step, or can this go in a complete transaction. So that decision lies with the product owners and the BAs. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, good. So I think then let us go ahead, and once if you think, okay, even in the onboarding also, I think we will define few. For now, assuming onboarding is also part of the recruitment only.
Okay.
So what all we can have here under onboarding?
Once they've accepted, yeah, that will be also acceptance will be part of
Probably
onboarding.
that we will take it in the release offer only. We'll take it like candidate acceptance.
Okay. And then onboarding, you have to fill all the paperwork. I think it's about verifying your documents. So you need to wait for all the verification. You need to submit first all the documents.
Correct.
All the
So
required,
probably
whatever
we can
document.
new bank account or something, all the that earlier funds, whatever you have, if you transfer, all of that will be part of the HR
Yeah, and
documentation.
for the background verification, you need to wait until all your background verification happens. So you need to submit all the documents for the verifications.
Correct.
Uh, so
So now,
once all that
as
is
you brought up this background processing, do you think it should be a separate stage here, background processing, or can it be a process, or should it be a complete
it should
case?
be a different stage, I feel.
Okay, okay.
Because
Now,
onboarding, you have made a process, isn't it? We are using it in recruitment case type itself. So onboarding is a
correct.
process. So I feel background verification should be one more stage because there might be many scenarios in uh, background
Right,
verification again.
correct. Right. So on this context, as we brought up this background verification, generally BGV is handed over to some third party, organizations. It's not like sometimes it's not like our organization will have some people to check, but sometimes
Yeah.
they give this job to some external third party
Yeah,
vendors.
but still there will be scenarios, isn't it? Not
Exactly.
everyone wants the same intensity of verification every
True.
account
True.
or every
Correct.
job type you're doing.
Exactly. Yes. So if you think there are a lot of scenarios involved in background verification, then you can define it as a separate case type. Right?
Yeah.
Like for example, a BGV for a 2-year candidate is completely different from a BGV for a 25-year experience candidate.
Yeah, and it depends also on the business. Like
Correct.
in my own case, we are corporate, but if you're working with people, they have a very detailed one because they're working with people.
True.
So
True.
there's
True.
all criminal check, everything will be done very detailedly. But if you're working in office space, yours will be a different one because you may not need the one which you
Exactly.
want to. Yeah, so there might be
Correct.
that.
Correct. So it depends upon what kind of job you have applied for, what domain is it from, right? Or sort of what organization you're applying for. So all that yes, it is involved.
Yeah.
If you think that's going to be a complicated stuff, maybe the time taken also matters sometimes. So if you want the BGV to be completed within 2 weeks for some sort of candidates, or probably you might give 2 months for other set of candidates, right? So timelines
Yeah.
are also important here. So looking at all of these, you can define your BGV as a separate transaction itself.
Yeah.
Likewise. Okay. Now coming back to onboarding, so there might be HR documents, then maybe IT infra, IT and infra, providing all sorts of laptops and the required infra.
Yeah.
Then
And also induction also will be one of the department, isn't
induction,
it?
correct.
Because
So assuming admin would look after all this induction, granting
yeah.
access and stuff. Okay, good. And even on induction also, I'll have some notification and some feedback. Oh, so overall, we have decided what all to be included on our case study, right? So this is like the background work that we do.
Yeah.
So now let us go ahead into the system. We will see how we'll be able to define it on the Pega platform. Okay. Right. So the basic concept here, and before directly jumping on to the App Studio or Dev Studio, is a bit of research work. A bit of
Yeah.
domain
Planning
knowledge is
and
also correct. A bit of domain knowledge
yeah,
is
that's
also
before the project kicks off. You need to first analyze the
exactly,
domain, isn't
exactly.
it?
You need to understand the customer needs. That's an obvious thing. And
Yeah.
if the customer
Brainstorming.
is new onto that domain, you could also give him suggestions on this is it would work, or this is how general process is. So we can guide them, and we can tell them that these are the best possible ways for us to handle this application. So we cannot always expect our clients to be highly technical. So we will
Oh yeah,
we
they
should
will
be able
only
to
have they will give their business requirement, but to
exactly
bridge that
correct
gap is our job.
correct. So they might not know what all the stages, steps, and process about, and we're going to them as probably they might not be able to understand.
I had a question from
Yes.
this one, not from this was a general curious.
Mm.
Actually, 2 years back when I went, because you have to complete in the Pega Academy their course, it's isn't it, before giving the
Right,
exam.
right.
But now it's not in this order, like how it's like. Have you gone through the? Do you have do you access
Yes,
that?
yes. So
So now
earlier,
yeah, sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, this one now it is showing as low code. One is the first
App builder
chapter.
and local app builder extended. Yeah,
Yeah,
so converted the contents into modules. Like some modules are too huge that they call them missions. So this low code
yeah,
app builder.
and the first one is only low
Mhm.
code app builder because if you're coming to Pega to learn, it's like it
Correct.
looks like, isn't it? So that's the way you need to learn now because I'm a bit confused, like how to go through the chapters.
Right, right. So on when you open your business architect course, the first thing that you see is low code app builder. Okay. So
Yeah,
once you
yeah,
click on it, it opens up its own contents.
yeah,
Whatever
that's what it.
your low code app builder. You can
Yeah,
have something called as
topics, integration
microservices.
with external application, workspaces, app
Correct,
studio.
correct.
Okay, so that's the
So it's like
way the flow goes.
go through. Correct. And once you're
Okay.
done with all the modules, all the challenges, then you can return back to your low code app builder extended.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. So just give me a moment. I'm just restarting the server.
Yeah, no problem. So, do you have some question banks for the exams? Or
Yes. I
you will
do
share at
have.
the end of the.
I'll share that. Yeah. But one problem with Pega certifications is that they come up with new set of questions every
Yeah,
2 months or 3 months.
exactly. But at least it will make you think, isn't it?
Yes,
Because
yes, yeah,
the thing is, it will be helping you to think quicker in that time and finish off
correct,
quickly if
correct.
you do more
Yeah,
and more.
that is
Uh,
yes,
yeah, because otherwise they have only some 5 or 10 questions, and that one doesn't help you in any ways. Though you read, it doesn't help you to recall, isn't it? So this might, if you
correct,
have more
correct.
questions, it will help you recall better, I feel.
Okay. And one thing I suggest is you have these quizzes at the end of each module,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, work on those quizzes.
Okay, in practically work on that.
Directly, yeah, we get questions directly from those quizzes. So you need to be very thorough with those questions and whatever the dumps or the question bank I provide, and I think you should be able to get through it. But even then
Oh,
also you might see some new questions from nowhere.
yeah, because however, this is a new version, they would have produced new
Right.
questions.
We I mean we can expect around 8 to 10 new questions for each set of for each new
Yeah,
version
I
they
think
come up.
now because AI has kicked in, it's easy for them to make questions, isn't it? It's
Correct,
all
correct.
automatically picks
Exactly.
up, isn't it?
Exactly. Even I have seen like few people they're actually working on a Pega project and still they were not able to clear the CSA, CSSA and all. I mean they're struggling because most of
Yeah,
these projects.
that actually, if you're working and clearing a certification is two different things.
Correct.
Because
Exactly. That is true.
this one, most of the things which it just gives you a foundation to knowing Pega, like any product, it might give you a foundation, but working is entirely different. It depends on the organization which you work and how they
True.
handle stuff.
True.
So you
Correct.
will not
Correct.
remember most of the stuff. It is one kind of thing you will be doing there from that.
Right, exactly. If the
So
project doesn't need few things, I wouldn't work on those. Or
you
I
don't
wouldn't
even touch it, and
explore. Correct. That's true.
yeah. And then technical terms you will not remember. You will be just working. You will be good at it, but you will not do
Mm.
actually the
That is
terms
true.
or
That is
anything.
true. Yeah. Yeah.
So just a question while you're starting.
Mm.
If you have just a ERP project also, can you do it in Pega? Is it worth doing in Pega ERP projects?
Um, and like we need to, definitely check for a few things, as in like,
Mhm.
when you're talking about the actual onboarding or the resource planning sort
Yeah,
of.
yeah, yeah. Like ERP in the sense all connected systems, isn't it? Like HR, finance,
Right, right.
customer
Got it.
relationship,
Got it.
uh,
Yes.
CRM. Like so you can connect everything through Pega, isn't it?
Yes, we could do it. In fact, we have a framework called Pega's sales automation. So it that is where it all deals with the leads that you get or converting, someone to a customer within your system and how do nurture those leads, converting them to opportunities and all. So within which an extension of it could be the onboarding as well. Okay. And if you, I mean, if you look at the frameworks of Pega, there are actual frameworks for onboarding. There is framework for KYC, some customer service is a framework, sales automation, marketing. So all these are like the
So
framework.
finance framework, you have a framework, so inside that you can develop. They've already built a framework.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. And frameworks are different for domains again. Now, if I want to deal with customer service for a finance domain, I can do it. Customer service for other life insurance.
Mhm.
So I can get the products, the frameworks for different domains. So that's
Okay, that's
possible.
how you get your Pega when you buy. You decide on what you want to do, and accordingly you buy
Correct.
the frameworks and you build on
And
that.
also
Then,
that depends upon how much of the framework you are trying to use. Right? So if you
mm,
have a requirement which says about 60% of framework can be reused here, whereas 40% I need to develop on my own. because it's not part of the framework. I need to implement it myself. In that case, I go forward and I can have this framework purchased or licensed. But if you think 30% of the framework is useful, rest all 70 is being customized, it doesn't make sense to.
So you just buy a Pega enterprise tool
Exactly,
and
the
then you
basic.
build your own framework.
Exactly, correct. We call it the basic vanilla version of Pega. It doesn't come with any frameworks. We
Then
can
you
just put.
build your own customization in that.
Exactly. Yes.
Then you can link you build one framework for finance, one framework for HR. Then you can integrate yourself, isn't it? You have customized
Correct.
it, and then you
Yes.
integrate it yourself
We
in
can
the
do that.
system.
Yes, possible. Comes my application. I'm logged onto the admin studio because the role is an admin. Let me go back to the. I'm going to switch to App Studio in order to start. So the case designing, it starts with a BA on the App Studio.
Yeah. Admin Studio doesn't have much, you told, isn't it? It doesn't have.
So yes, here comes the App Studio. Let us go ahead. The application that we are in is IMPL, and we already have like two case types defined in it. One is for recruitment, another is the onboarding. So let me click on this. You remember the parts that are on the screen? You remember those 4 areas? The 4 areas the screen is divided into. Any guesses?
Yeah. It's that app and.
No problem. So the top portion is called the header area. Left side is the Explorer panel. The bottom one is the developer toolbar, and the major part of the screen.
Sorry, major part is?
Work area. Called the
Oh,
work
yeah.
area.
Yeah.
Let me select the case types from the Explorer panel. I'm going
It is, the
to
side is Explorer and the bottom is development.
correct
Sorry, what is it? Development
developer panel.
panel. And then the work area.
Okay. So by default, the system shows you a create stage. It says like the format that you have to work. So you'll have your stage here. This is your stage, inside which there's a process, and this is called your step. Okay, by default, it is provided. If we
So
want
it's process, stage, and step. Okay, stage, process, and step.
stage, process, and step. Correct.
Okay.
I can start from this create stage. If not, I would want to create my own stage. Let me click on this first stage here for submission. So generally stage names are nouns. Okay. So stage name, I have submission, interview, release, offer, and onboarding. Let us see. Submission, interview, and one more stage for release, offer, and then onboarding. Okay. Assuming the basic segregation is done. Now,
Okay.
so here if you click on the step, okay, unless you add a step, you cannot edit the process. Okay. So once I click on, I see 3 kinds of inputs are there: collect information, approve, multi-step form, and then you click on more. There are a lot of other things. We'll see what those are. Okay. what is it that you are doing on submission? So it is related
Submission, collect information.
exactly. So I will use this collect information step. And what is it that you are using for? To collect the candidate's personal info. So I'll name it something like get personal info. Okay. The next step, again, a collect information step I would use, and this is for getting the educational info. Okay. And the third step for experience info. Now if you see, the process is now editable. So your process is like a combination of all the steps. What are you doing with all these steps combined together? So they are all about collecting candidate info, right? So personal info, education info, experience info are all related to candidate. So I would name it as collect info. Now the second, I think the first stage is done, right? So the second stage, and if you want to ask about a candidate's probably a written test, or you want to schedule an interview, that is also part of a collect information that you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? Excuse me. So I'll name it as, again, probably I can just name it a written test or something.
Yeah.
Oh. Once the written test is through, what is it? The technical interview, assuming, right? So is it a information that I'm collecting?
No, it's
Yeah.
will that be information collection?
Now here I'm deciding whether a candidate can be selected or not.
Okay, so approval reject.
Right, exactly. So here I will use an approve reject step. And once I use it, observe the stages. So on the bottom here you see there comes a stage called approval rejection. So the system is suggesting that you tell, we need to design what happens if the candidate is rejected. Okay, so name it candidate selection. Okay, if he's selected, he would proceed with the release offer. If he's rejected, he would come back to the approval rejection stage. Generally, your process names have to be nouns plus verbs. They are more concerned with what is happening in that process. So
Nouns
like
plus verbs. You told only nouns was only for case stages,
nouns
isn't it?
for stages, correct.
Noun
Whereas
plus verb is for
noun
for
plus
this
verb
process,
for your correct.
and for
Make sure that your whatever your steps, process, stages. So their naming convention should be, within like 2 to 3 words, not more than that. Okay. And we
even
clearly,
steps are noun plus verb.
right, yes, noun plus verbs you can have. Okay, but whatever it is, stage, process, or step, whatever, you should be clearly able to identify what that is doing. So if I'm probably a newcomer to your project, so once I look at the case life cycle, I should be able to understand what is happening within it. Right? We should not give some vague names, something like collect info, which is very vague. Right? What information you're collecting, what sort of information, or from whom are you collecting? That has to be clearly added onto your case design. Right. Now on release offer, I need to send the offer through an email. Can I use any of these? Approve, reject, collect information, or any others?
Is it more
Right.
multi-step? Yeah.
Automations. Then you have a send email step.
Yeah.
The step called send email. And this is an automated step. Click on select. What are you going to send? It's an offer letter that you're going to send.
Okay, if it's automated, will it send automatically or it gives you time to?
No, it sends automatically. As soon as the candidate selection is done, the system would go to the sending automated email.
Okay,
So
so you mean you need to finish everything in the candidate selection process, you will do the offer, define
exactly,
everything.
correct. So the submission stage, interview stage, if all of it are complete, only then the candidate will proceed with the release offer.
Mhm.
And after release offer, I would also want to collect some feedback. So after feedback, I might need the offer acceptance as well. Probably whether the user is accepting the offer or not.
Mhm.
Okay, then probably offer acceptance also, I'll put it to a simple collect information, or it can also be a approve reject. So either of these two can be used here because I'm going to make a decision.
Mhm.
Okay, and then yes. So onboarding for now, assuming I am only concerned until the offer acceptance. So what my transaction ends with offer acceptance. Onboarding is a complete transaction. So I don't want to do it. I'm going to delete the stage.
Okay.
Okay, so these three dots you see on the stage, you can navigate your case here and there. You can delete it. You can move it across. You can do all sorts.
Yeah. So does this mean it's ended now?
Correct. So with offer
You need
acceptance,
not put a end or something. There's no option to put a end. So as soon as you finish that last stage, it will
correct.
not continue. It will not go to a loop, isn't it? There's no
No,
syntax for ending.
correct. Nothing like a looping.
Okay, so once this release offer is done, that's ended there. Release offer. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, sorry, what is it called? Release
I'm
offer
just trying
stage.
to, yes, release offer stage. So I just clicked on save. So my case type is saving. And I think, yeah, we forgot to define the rejection stage. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
I was thinking what will happen. I was seeing that. I was
yeah,
just thinking what
we
will
should
happen.
do that as well. So I need to send in an email. Probably send rejection email and name it.
Mhm.
And again, here also I will correct some feedback.
Send regret email.
Okay, now I'm going to run this. As in, like I'll see how it executes. I'm going to just run this. We
How
did
did
not
you
add,
run? Where did you click for running?
click on save and run. On the right corner, you have it, save and run.
Where is it? Sorry, could you please show me?
Yeah, I'll show that again. Let the screen load.
Oh, okay,
But
it's in middle of something.
yeah. So far, we have just added the case life cycle. I mean, we have added in the stages, process, and steps. Right? But we
Mhm.
did not define any UI, as in like
Yeah.
on personal info, what kind of data you want, whether it should be a text field or you want a radio choice. So all that UI is not yet configured. We'll be doing
Mhm.
that very soon. Right. So in an end user perspective, this is how your case looks like. Suppose I started creating a transaction for a recruitment. This is how it looks like. Because the
Mhm.
system says it doesn't have any view defined because we haven't configured any view. So that's as expected. So let me click on
Mhm.
advance the case. So this is on the first stage, the create stage, if you see, the basic
Yeah.
system generated one. After this, my case should proceed on to the submission stage.
Yeah.
So yes, here comes your submission stage, and so this is your transaction, the recruitment, and this is your case ID. R2001 is the unique transaction ID generated for this case. Okay, and here you see something called as it is the case status, the default case status. We haven't added anything. That's like the default. And under the submission, you are in the get personal info screen. Right? So if I proceed further, I am on the get educational info screen, still under the submission stage only. Right. Add get experience info, still the submission stage. After this, the submission stage is complete. I am on the interview stage with written test. If I still proceed, assuming the candidate is through all these things, here comes your approval step. Okay, so this is the default view that is presented for the approval step. I can either cancel, approve, or reject the candidate. Let us go with approval. Right. And as soon as I launched the release offer, I came to feedback. But what about the email? The email step we configured. Why is it not shown on the UI? Any guesses?
No.
Okay, so the email is basically an automated step. Right? For sending an email, I don't need to show anything on the screen onto the user.
Okay.
That can run in the back end, so that wouldn't be displayed on the screen. Only for those forms when you're collecting information or when a user interaction is required, we need to configure the forms. Right? So
Yeah.
I cannot have a screen saying that I am sending email to so and so. Not required.
Yeah.
Right? But feedback for the user to enter, he need to see something on the screen. I cannot show a blank screen and ask him to fill some feedback.
But sometimes they'll not know there is automated email step configured, isn't it?
Yeah, that is why your case lifecycle, I mean, whatever the design you're doing on the case lifecycle, that will tell me what all things are involved. That's the
Okay.
only for a newcomer to understand what's happening in your transaction.
Oh, okay. Okay, get it. Yeah.
Now when I still proceed further, there's nothing else. And I think we also have the offer acceptance. After that, there's nothing else. So it says thank you, and you get this particular message. All your steps on the transaction are complete. Okay, and let us also do a rejection one. Let us do it. Either you can go back to the case types, select recruitment. You can click save and run. This is where I did on the right side. I can just do it one more time, save and run. Okay, let me proceed further. And also, when the case is created, along with the case ID, observe the case status. So the case status is something that provides you information on what is happening with the transaction. So just like when we tend to put in an order, when we place an order, you see the case status initially would be pending for payment or like payment done. Later it would be like packaged, then something like it would be shipped. out for delivery, to see the status, right? Because that provides you an information. It provides you a context of what is happening with your transaction. You see currently, which means this case is newly created. I mean, it is in a new stage. Let me advance this. Okay, let me advance. Okay, you're already through the written test and you're in interview stage or in the interview step. But still the case status is new. Is it giving us any information here? It is always new. It's not giving any information for me or any context of what is happening with the transaction, right?
Yeah.
So we should also define appropriate case statuses. Okay, along with the case design that we did, we should have some appropriate case statuses. Okay, let me just reject this now. So now you see when I rejected the case, it said it has gone to the approval rejection stage and the case status is resolved rejected. So now a candidate, when he looks at his transaction, he can understand, okay, the case, probably the candidature is being rejected. So he can know some. Okay. So likewise for rest of the stages also, we need to provide appropriate case statuses. For this, by default, we have got this as a behavior from the system. But for rest of the others, we need to define them. The rejection, it is like the default ones. They are provided. Rest of the other steps, stages, we need to define appropriate case statuses. Okay. And once I click on any of these entities, on the right side, you see there is some panel. So we call it contextual properties panel. So what's it called? Contextual properties panel. So on each selection that I make, I will see different properties here on the panel. Okay. So suppose I've selected a step. Okay, you see the data or the steps or properties related to a step are available. If I select stage, so they are the properties related to stage. Now, case lifecycle we have designed good. Now, is it the same lifecycle that will be there throughout my application development? Probably not, because this is the initial one that we made. But going forward with new enhancements coming, with new scenarios coming, definitely there will be changes on your lifecycle, the design.
Yeah.
So we will slowly be refining it and we will be customizing it according to the new requirements that come up. It's not like throughout the application development, this is how it is going to be. No, never. Now suppose I select a step here and you see I have an option called set case status. So if you need case statuses to provide information on each individual step, you can have it here. A few default ones are available. Once you click on the down arrow, so you will get to see a lot of statuses that are available. Completed, new, open, pending, resolved.
Does this do anything or it's just an information for us?
It's just like providing information to the user. I mean, there's nothing like
it will not do anything. You're just providing status information.
Exactly, right. Because that's the first thing the user will observe.
Yeah, otherwise it will be confusing, isn't it?
Correct. You're providing a context to the user with your so-called case status. Yes. Okay. So if you have scenarios like that you wanted to tell the customer on each individual step level, you can define the status on the step level, right? But here, at least on this recruitment case type, I don't see that requirement. That I don't need to tell the user that you are in pending personal info screen, pending educational info screen. That sort of status isn't required here, at least on this content. So
Yeah.
what I could, the whole of my stage, I can define a case status.
Mhm.
So that was new. So let me put it to open. Okay, which means a candidate is trying to open a new case for recruitment. And then for interview, I'll let it be something related to pending, maybe pending approval.
Yeah.
Okay. And for release offer, he has already got, he's already been approved. So I will put it to something like resolved, completed, maybe. Okay. Now I'll save and run this. We'll see what happens. Okay, let me go ahead. So now you see the case status is open. So I can clearly understand now that the case is now being open. When I proceed, I'm going to advance it to the next interview stage, and yes, it is pending approval. If I still proceed on further to approving it, I see result complete. So this gives the user an understanding of what is happening with this transaction. Okay. Because that's probably the primary indicator of the progress. So looking at that, I can understand how far I am from the resolution. Okay. There's one more simple thing when it comes to user context is the instructions. So sometimes instructions are required for the users to understand what they have to do on that particular screen. Right? Like even when we are trying to fill in some forms, you see some instructions. Like please fill the dates in this format, DD, MM, YY.
Yeah.
So instructions are probably guiding the user on what he has to do on that particular screen. Let us add some instructions. Okay, and instructions are available only for collect information steps because that's when a view is involved. So if I
That's
observe,
when they enter information, isn't it? Other
correct.
places.
Now if I select send offer email, it doesn't have any instructions. It has its own configurations that are required. Who it has to be sent to, what is that mail, or what should be the body of the mail, should it include attachments? So it deals with its own properties.
Yeah.
Right? Get personal information. Let me add in some instructions. Oh, something like please enter the required information. And again, few instructions could be vague and few could be really specific to the context. And let me add in one more instruction for educational info. Something like please enter gap in education in months. Okay, probably something like this could be your instruction, depending upon what kind of data you are handling and how you have to guide the user. Accordingly, you can have your instructions. Let me see. We'll see where the instructions are shown. Okay, let me advance. So yes, here comes your instruction on the screen. Okay, but in fact, the actual fields are not yet configured. We have added only some instructions so far.
Is that part is done by CSS?
A bit by the BAs. I mean, we will be designing the
The
basics
skeleton.
forms. Yes, we will be doing it. If
Oh,
they are
UI
more,
we need to do. The back end and all, they will do it, validation of those data and all.
correct.
But the front end, like how it should look and where it should sit and all, we'll do.
Correct. I mean, like few things are not possible, as in like for adding. So if you want to add in a video on the screen directly, so that may not be possible from the App Studio view. I should go back to Dev
Then where is
Studio.
that possible? Okay.
So we should go back to the Dev Studio to do it like that. Few
Okay.
things are possible from the App Studio, but at least on a high level, we can design the skeleton. Right? Yes. So both these things, the user, the case statuses and the instruction define the user context. Okay. I think let's go through this. Yeah. So the first thing as part of user context is your case status. Yes. So this is like your primary indicator towards the progress of the case. I think, yes, that is what we discussed. And we have got few case statuses already available. So we should be able to use most of them. Right? One more thing about the context is about instructions. And we have discussed that instructions can only be applicable for select information screens or only when there is a user interaction. Obviously not for your automated steps. Right? Okay. So far it was about case designing, and we have also learned a little about the user context. It's like how do you define instructions, how do you define case statuses. Okay. So the next thing that is important is about how you define the timelines. Like for any transaction, it needs to be bound within certain timelines. Right? So placing an order as an example. So I can wait for 3 to 5 business working days to get my order or to get my product. But can I wait for 6 months to receive my order? No. Right? I mean, it's not good for the customer and for the organization also. So next time I wouldn't be placing an order with this organization anymore. Right? So be it any transaction we take, it needs to have certain timelines. And obviously it depends upon the type of transaction we are dealing with. Suppose if I've lost my credit card, I'll call the customer service and I will complain or probably I will convey my issue that the credit card is lost. So what do they do is first block my credit card. After that, there is a process for reissuing of the new card. All of that follows. Now, so blocking this credit card, can it take 2 months?
No, it should be immediate as soon as.
It should be immediate, yes.
Yeah.
Within an hour or immediately on the point, whenever I raise this complaint, I want this my card to be blocked. The action has to be immediate. But you see the time is very low, probably like within 30 minutes or less than that. I should have my card blocked.
That's the SLA.
Exactly. So on the other hand, if I am dealing with some claim transaction, so there's some hospitalization claim that I wanted to settle. So can I expect that claim to be settled within 2 hours?
No.
Right? Because it needs a lot of detailing. Like you need to provide in the actual documents. They would do a lot of verification to and fro. It goes back here, there, and then. Finally, maybe a month or at least 15 days should do. Right? I cannot expect claim to be settled on the same day or within 1 hour is not possible. So irrespective of whatever transaction you are dealing with, you need to have the appropriate timelines.